What's up, NBA fan? What's up, all sports fans? This your boy JB, host of the Behind the Bench podcast and channel. I'm kind of hyped up, but I'm giving a shout out to the rest of the crew: Shad, Kelvin, Jermaine, KB Film Room, Big Dog Talk Sports. For everyone who's tuning in, we thank you. We always thank you for supporting Behind the Bench and subscribing to the channel as we try to make this show the best that it can be. Now, let's get right to it, man. No time to be messing around. And I have to ask myself this question, man. Why do players of the league, a number of NBA players, more and more players, these talking heads on these sports shows, it's like they spend every waking moment of the hour of the day fixated on trashing players of generations past, of past eras. It is sickening. It's totally, it's degrading. It's degrading. And it's bogus. It's foul. It's nasty. It's visceral. It's mean-spirited. It's trash. And what's sad about it, what's crazy about it, I like Anthony Edwards, man. Anthony Edwards is one of the up-and-coming stars of the league. And he took a big step this year. His team, he led his team, the Minnesota Timberwolves, helped lead them to the Western Conference Finals. First Western Conference Finals appearance by the Timberwolves, I believe, since 2004, when Kevin Garnett led them to the conference finals and won league MVP that season. That's how long it's been. It's been almost 20 years. Minnesota can be one of the mainstays of the NBA. But, man, I'm sick and tired of what's going on, man. Look, why can't they focus on 2024? Why can't they focus on the present? What happened, or what they think happened, or what they don't know that happened in 1984, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90. All the way through that decade, it's been etched in stone. It's a part of history. You can't reverse it. You can't terraform it. You can't change it. You can't alter it. So why harp on it every day? And what's ironic is the psychology is pathological. And I'm being dead serious. They started this bogus movement, whack. We done with the 90s, but apparently they're not done with the 90s because they constantly talking about it. Look, I've been fortunate to watch the NBA since the merger. When the ABA disbanded and their top players was sent over to the NBA in 1976. That's how long I've been watching the NBA, since I was almost practically knee high. I've never seen a phenomenon like this. I didn't see players from the 80s trash, or the media trashing players from the 60s. I didn't see players from the 90s trash players from the 70s. I didn't see players from the 2000s trash players from the 80s. And this is why you can't compare eras. It makes no sense. It's one thing to say that a player, because of his dominance and what he's achieving while he played, it's one thing to say, man, I think that player is better than so-and-so. But you can do that and have a, a sound debate without disrespecting previous eras. But what they're trying to do is eliminate the past. And this is rooted in the agenda to erase Michael Jordan from the basketball world. Let me read what Anthony Edwards said. I didn't watch it back in the day, so I can't speak on it. Well, he juked up his own argument, right? This was doing a podcast with a panel, a sit down panel with Jalen Rose, I guess Jalen Rose, the moderator, and Kevin Durant. So he said, I didn't watch it back in the day, so I can't speak on it. They say it was tougher back then than it is now. But I don't think anybody had skill back then. Michael Jordan was the only player. And there's so many contradictions in it, man. And I like Anthony Edwards, man. But what he's saying is foul. But this is a byproduct of the agenda. This is the byproduct of these toxic talking heads on these god-awful sports shows, which they chose to take this direction. They chose to take this path that's leading millions astray. And when I say millions, man, I'm talking about millions. When it comes to the sport of basketball, when it comes to the NBA and its history, they're leading millions astray. That's a scary proposition. Imagine, let's say you're 13 years old, right? And you really start getting off into the NBA. And what's being presented to you, let's say you start watching at 13, and then 10 years later, you're 23 years old. And you've been listening to Poison for a decade. You consume that poison throughout the course of each NBA season to where it becomes verbatim and part of your thought process of the NBA. And after all that time, it turns out that you've been misled from the get-go. I feel terrible for the youth generation coming up. I feel terrible. This is sickening and it's trash. So, like I said, man, that statement by Edwards, and like I said, I like Anthony Edwards, man. He should be focused on the upcoming season. But like I said, there's a clear-cut agenda. Like I said, I picked up on it starting 10 years ago. I picked up on it. I started noticing articles, man, being written like the underground. And I would read them, and I said, wait a minute, man. I said, that ain't right, man. This is basic stuff that people like. See, what the youth generation needs to know, or the youth generation of today, right now, what they need to what they need to be presented with is the reality that when fans such as myself, or fans who start watching NBA in the 90s, when we tune in, and when we like to say there was no agenda, there was no agenda. And I'm not saying, okay, of course, man, if you see someone that you feel you can promote and market, you know what I'm saying? Like when Michael Jordan retired in 1993, like I said, even before he retired, the first time he was looking for the next Jordan in. They was looking for the next Michael Jordan in 92. Matter of fact, when the Dream Team won the Olympics, won gold medal, It was like at that moment they was trying, because that's when Jordan, as far as his athletic ability, his skill, just everything, man. He was at the peak of his game. Uh, the Be Like Mike Gatorade commercial. Like Mike, if I can be, sometimes I dream that he is me. Doom, 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 doom. Sometimes I see that's how I dream to be. I'm telling you, man, like, and he's gonna sit there and say that the only player who was skilled back then was Michael Jordan. But he said he didn't watch the league back then. So why talk on it? But it's because of the environment and the climate that has been created over these past, and it's really intensified over the past 5, 6 years. So probably what happened was he was presented with a question that automatically insinuated that players from yesterday were no good. And see, and it gets to the fact that the bar has been so lowered. When we say journalism has been cast aside, I mean, it's been kicked to the curb. And it's been years ago. We haven't seen real basketball commentary. Truth be told, I'm talking about consistently, really over the past 15 years. As when someone wins a championship like a Nikola Jokic or Giannis or Antetokounmpo or whomever, they'll talk about for like 3 days, man, and it's back to the same old bit. It's back to the same old deal, man. Look, this is getting so belligerent, man. It's a turnoff, and it makes you not even want to support this league. And what's crazy is I'm excited. I'm thrilled that these young stars are finally taking the lead to show who they are. They beat the veteran stars in the postseason. It's their time. They deserve it. That part I have no issue with. I love it. But where the conflict arises, that they're promoting, like when they mention the young stars, they're not doing it through a genuine lens. They're not doing so for the right reasons. They're only doing it is because by circumstance of them advancing deep in the postseason the way they did. But at the same time, trash the past. They act like they cannot promote the stars today and still uphold the rich history of this league. You don't see this problem in the NFL. You don't see it. One thing I love about Major League Baseball, man, they honor their past players, man. They honor every single one of them. They opening day is named in the honor of Jackie Robinson, the late Jackie Robinson, number 42 for the LA Dodgers. They do so for Babe Ruth. They do so for Lou Gehrig. They do so for Mickey Mantle. They do so for Roberto Clemente. They do so for Sandy Koufax. All the legends, Bob Gibson, Reggie Jackson, all of them, man. Roy Campanella, Yogi Berra, and it's actually fun. Where he was like, man, when you look at like Major League Baseball, man, it stretches over 100 years, man. That's a heck of an accomplishment. So it took a great contribution from past players to help establish the Major League Baseball to what it is become today. Same thing with the NFL. The NBA used to be like that. So if Michael Jordan was the only player back then during his time in the league that was skilled, there wouldn't even be an NBA because there wouldn't be nothing to measure his skill up against. It's insanity. And that's why I say, man, these comments or opinions, they lack logic. Look, I don't like to compare eras, but the league during the time, since they're trying to erase Michael Jordan, they obsessed with Michael Jordan, man. They are obsessed with this man who retired in 2003, 21 years ago. And they talk about him like he just finished the season. He don't even make a lot of public appearances these days. He kind of lives a life in seclusion. And they bring his name up every freaking day. And it always carries a negative connotation. It's toxic. But a lot of players who competed against Jordan when he played, they helped fuel this monster of a situation by a willingness to throw their own era under the bus to diminish Jordan, to prop that other guy. And whoever come across this video, I'm pretty confident that you know who I'm referring to. That's what this is all about. Look, I'm a Kobe Bryant. The late, great Kobe Bean Bryant was my favorite player from the time that he entered the NBA. And when he and Shaquille O'Neal started winning them championships together, when they three-peated, you didn't hear all this talk. You didn't see the past era being trash, man. You didn't. You just didn't. You weren't even thinking about it. Just think about that. Let's think about that. And he was winning. He was winning. I saw an interview Kobe Bryant did, and they asked him about the comparison between him and Jordan. And Kobe Bryant said, I would never say that I'm better than Michael Jordan because he taught me so much. You see how matter of fact that is? You see how respectful that is. But at the same time, Kobe Bryant is saying, look, man, I know I'm comfortable with my place in history. I don't have to try to tear Jordan down to try to make myself look good. And in essence, you respect Kobe because he respected Jordan enough to sit there and say, he taught me so much. I will not sit here and say I'm better than him. This thing has gotten out of hand, man. And I'm going to tell you, if they don't put an end to this, man, the NBA will suffer for it and it will be set back a long time. They don't seem to understand this, man. And like I said, Edwards may have been put up to make these comments. You know what messed Anthony Edwards up? He was playing great in that first round versus Phoenix, man. He was balling, man. He was balling. And like I said, man, I could sit here and watch the NBA today. I don't have to sit here and try to compare it to yesteryear. And it seems like to me, a majority of these talking heads, they only watch NBA for their purpose, to compare it to the past. They don't love the NBA. They only use it as a stepping stone to get where they want to go or build up their audience, and mislead millions, man. And I'm telling you, man, sports talk is crumbling. It's crumbling. It's based on too many narratives rather than just focusing on calling the action for what it is, man. If someone wins, they win. If someone lose, they lose. When the football season start, They not gonna sit there, man, be talking about what happened in 1975 with Roger Staubach and Terry Bradshaw. They done did what they done did, man. It was crazy, man. Michael Jordan in his 60s now, man. And I'm telling you, man, it's an obsession. It is sickening. It's sickening. They're not bringing anything positive to the table. They're holding the league back. They need to flee. They need to get out the way. Give us the NBA back. Give me my squad back. And all this gonna do, man, is bring a lot of negative attention and backlash to a 23, 24-year-old budding superstar Anthony Edwards when he should just be focused on his career, man. But what messed him up is when them talking heads came on TV and compared him to Michael Jordan's 1988 season when he won league MVP. When they did that, man, it was like his whole game was thrown off whack. And it was almost like he fell into the sunken place, like that movie Get Out, where it was like something was controlling his mind, man, his movements, and he wasn't playing the same no more. He got caught up in it. It was like, damn, man, they compared me to Michael Jordan in 1988. And it threw him off a game because his game has not even reached that point, that level yet. But he's still becoming a great player in his own right. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, dog. The NBA, man, and what's sad about it, man, they don't even need to go this route. They don't know how good. They don't know how, if they do things right and appropriate, man, and within balance, man, the NBA can grow and resonate for the right reasons instead of the wrong reasons. Right now, they're trying to build an audience on misinformation, misnomers, falsehoods. That's not going to last. The history is the history. And what I loved about the time where I grew up being a fan is you had individuals who truly covered the sport. I'm not talking about sitting behind a studio booth and someone printing out stats for them to go over and distort or misrepresent. You had people who covered the league, man, and wrote books about teams, players, magical seasons, and you knew that they knew what they was talking about. You knew that they knew what they was talking about. Because they said, we want to make this league the absolute best that it can be, man. And decisions that they made was done with the purpose of not representing this league in a way where it can be detrimental and set it back for long periods of time. You cannot eliminate the past. The past is there to learn from, to be inspired by. They're trying to eliminate it. When you try to trash something like that, man, it's a total form of disrespect. And for all practical purposes, they shouldn't be allowed to talk NBA basketball because 90% of the things that they're saying is factually inaccurate. And the facts that they do present, they do so in the wrong context. So when he say that they weren't skilled, that means Kareem Abdul-Jabbar wasn't skilled. That's what he's trying to say. But what's crazy is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar developed the most lethal go-to move, not just in the history of basketball, but arguably in the history of professional sports. And he started developing that shot, the sky hook, when he was in grade school. Through middle school, through high school. So by the time he went to college, that move was already a permanent fixture, an extension of his game. He had already mastered it before he turned pro. And we haven't seen one player at that position who has even attempted to develop that shot. Only recently we heard Victor Wembanyama say he would like to, work on developing that shot as his career moves forward. But it's something that he has to really take time to work and develop. Kareem mastered that shot before he turned 21 years old. And there's been a ton of great centers in this league. And they haven't even attempted to. Man, that shot was so lethal that he could shoot it from 22 feet out on either side of the court. It was money. Do you realize the confidence that it takes to shoot that type of shot? And he did so throughout his entire professional basketball career. And he gonna sit there and say that those players back then weren't skilled? I'm telling you, man. And this word skilled, man, it is nauseating. Well, they say this era is more skilled. Well, define what you mean by skilled. What is it that you're alluding to when you say skilled? Because someone can dribble the ball or juke a player out? We see that every year. We see that every decade. We've seen that every era. I watched the footage of this was a game between, and I'm gonna wrap this up in a couple minutes. There was a game between, this was back in 1978. Philadelphia 76 was on the road playing the New York Knicks in Madison Square Garden. Now, one thing that is clearly better from yesterday than today is the fast break. It's not even a question. That's a skill to be able to run a fast break effectively. Teams ran the fast break with more maturity and uniformity than what you see today. It's not even a question. Now, is the three-point shot more prolific today than yesterday? Yes, it is. No question about it. It is an aspect of basketball that you do have to incorporate. But I think where they're getting it mixed up is every era develops a focus that requires skill, right? Ability, consistency, to where your opponent knows, in order to beat you, I have to stop you from doing this. So every era has that. Their own interpretation of a skill that stands out. So this era is spacing the floor, being able to shoot the three. That's what this era specializes in. But I watched that footage, man, and Bobby Jones, who was the Philadelphia 76ers six man, and arguably, to tell you the truth, when it comes to a six man being a two-way player, offense and defense, he may be the greatest six man in that realm that we've ever seen. He ran the lane on that fast break like a cheetah. And you know how, like, when we see a pass being made to someone to attack the basket, you know, and they have to grab the ball and gather the ball before they, make the shot attempt going to the basket. Bobby Jones was already in his move to dunk the ball before he even grabbed it. He didn't have to gather. It was like bam, bam, boom. And before you know it, he was headed down the other end of the court. And he didn't break stride. So what I'm trying to say is what you practice on, that's what's going to stand out more. And like I said, I'm saying this, these sports shows have done a disservice, man. I'm telling you, man. That's where they picking up these cues from. That's where they picking these cues up from. Because they're getting a exaggerated sense of their place in NBA history by saying that they're this much better than players of yesterday. Rather than them just going out and playing and proving themselves, and the history, once they finish their career, history is going to show how great they really were. Anyway, that's all you really need. But I'm telling you, if they don't watch out, a lot of people gonna stop tuning in and watching the NBA, man. Because this is nonsense, dog. They're hell bent on trying to erase Michael Jordan from history. Watch tomorrow. Somebody's gonna say something whack on the show, on a podcast, or someone's gonna write an article online or whatnot, and it's gonna be attacking Michael Jordan, man. That man is. I don't even think, man, he on the other side of the world, man, enjoying his greatness. Look, he essentially played 11 seasons for the Chicago Bulls, 11 full seasons. And he won 6 championships. So that means over 50% of the time with the Chicago Bulls, man, they was raising the Larry O'Brien trophy by season's end, dog. And he left to go play another sport and essentially spotted the league 2 championships. That's how high the bar that he raised. He went to go play another sport that he hadn't played over 15 years. If not for the strike of 95, his manager, Terry Francona, who went on to manage the Boston Red Sox in the late 2000s, he said Michael Jordan would have made and would have became a Major League Baseball player. Whew. He comes back to the NBA. All he needed to do was get in true NBA basketball condition. And he racked off a second three-peat, dog. These cats need to stop doing this, man. And focus on today. I don't think they can do it. They've been so conditioned to trash the past. I don't think they can do it, man. I don't think they can talk ball because, see, what happened is now you have to stand on your own. You have to stand on your own laurels. And when you've been conditioned to crap on the past, that's going to become hard to do. And you know why? Because they're going to have to go out there and prove what these talking heads have been saying, that they are that much better than players of years past. If the players are that much greater than 1990, then there should be nothing to talk about. See, a lot of this is manipulation. And like I said, when you got a platform and you got 1 million people tuning into you and you kicking out poison every day, you're doing a disservice to the people listening. Even if they like what you're saying, you're doing a disservice to the audience. You're doing a disservice to the craft. You're doing a disservice to the sport. Because now what happens is, when you try to appeal to the lowest common denominator, what I mean to the lowest common denominator, I'm talking about people who may not know the history of the league like older fans know. It's not that older fans are better. It's just that we grew up during the time where the league reached its apex. And even before then, the league had carried a great mystique. So I believe what's going to happen is, in the next couple of years, we're going to start seeing things happen in the NBA. In other words, slowly return back to normal. Or what I mean by normal is, all this teaming up is finally coming to an end. And people are going to really have to go out there and compete. And then what's going to happen is, these talking heads are going to have to finally start talking basketball. And then fans that have been consumed with this insanity, they're going to start saying, wow, man, why are they talking different now than they had been over the past, 5 to 10 years? Right? And what's going to happen is, man, and this is going to be a natural occurrence. I believe these talking heads of the current time will give way to people who truly love the sport and love the league. It's going to provide a balanced take on things, where there is no agenda, no narrative. And then slowly but surely, the players of yesterday are going to get their respect. And like I said, you don't have to be the greatest ever, man, to be appreciated. That's what's missing out all this. Like, you cannot predict someone's going to be the greatest ever. They just prove it, man, because for whatever reason, man, you can't set your clock to saying, well, this guy gonna come in like Wembanyama, right? He had a fantastic rookie season. He has the potential to really do some great things. But we can't sit here in 2024 and say he's gonna be the greatest player ever. It has to be proven. That's my point. So, in closing, this is getting played out, man, and this is unnecessary. And when former players spoke critically of the league, it was never based on the fact that, players today are not athletic enough or talented enough to flourish in the league, compete in the league. The issue was the style of play. A lot of teams, they be jacking up them threes. They don't run no set offense. When they get in trouble, they're going to start jacking threes. And the odds are, when you're in a tight game, specifically in the playoffs, when that 3-point ain't falling, what's your backup plan? See, that's what's missing. Although it's getting better. It's getting better. It is getting better. Players being pushed in the league too young. And players really not being in shape per se to conduct the 82 game schedule. That was really it, man. Now, When they say, players are soft and all that, now do former players need to let up on that? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. That I will agree with a young fan who may feel that way. I will agree with that. But what these talking heads now are trying to do, who have major influence, they're literally trashing the past, man, and they don't realize the damage that they're doing to the whole league dynamic, and it's creating this divide. It's creating a lot of resentment, and sooner or later, man, it's gonna come to the point, man, where you're gonna lose a lot of people who once tuned in and watched this league, man. They really understand what the history is about. So like I said, man, Anthony Edwards, man, you need to chill out with that. Me personally, it wouldn't surprise me if he was led to say that and recite that because of a question that was probably directed towards him or brought to him, and then he picked up on the cues and said, "Okay, man, I'll respond in this fashion." You see what I'm saying? And see, a lot of times, man, when you look back at Michael Jordan's career, man, that was a wise individual, man. He was wise, man. And a lot of discourse that was commonplace, man, he he disassociated himself from that, man. Because the way he probably looked at it is, man, whatever the button topic is now is not going to remain. So why get involved in that when opinions can change like, the temperature outside? It can go up and down at the drop of a hat. And his focus was on his craft. Like he said, man, I focus on my craft. All this other stuff, man, it's not gonna have any bearing on how my career is going to evolve to be whatever is meant to be. What's the saying? More is less and less is more. Sometimes, man, when you use common sense and logic, man, sometimes it's better not to say anything and just focus on the task at hand instead of trying to ride that wave to gain some type of acceptance or popularity, because that could change overnight, man. They figure you riding the wave, man. They'll use you up, and then when they done with you, man, they'll throw you right on out of there and forget that you even existed. So I hope Anthony Edwards, man, I hope he thinks about this, man, and say, you know what, man, I was out of line, because he was out of line what he said, dog. He was out of line what he said. And a lot of people's on his head right now. And just focus on his career and getting better, which I believe he can get better. Focus on the now, man. This is 2024. There should be no legitimate reason that we sitting here talking about every day. I ain't talking about like, in hindsight on occasion, when you bring the Chicago Bulls, you said, man, man, that team, man, they won 6 championships. That, if in that context, but to try to break down and micromanage every facet, man, they're taking away from the beauty of the game, dog. And they don't even realize it, man. That's why they need to just get out the way and let these dudes play, man. And the history will decide who's who and pretty much where they should be ranked when they finish up, man. There's a lot of cats out here. There's a lot of people that's talking the game. They don't love the game, dog. And that's cool. But if you don't love the game, man, you shouldn't be given the platform to talk about it either. That's the problem. A lot of cats willing to ride that wave for some notoriety, for some popularity, man. But in the end, man, it's not leading to anything worthwhile. That's my point, dog. Because no matter what they say, the history is the history. Period. End of discussion. So I just want to drop that, man. And until next time, as we look forward to this upcoming season, man, this is JB for BTB. JB for BTB behind the bench.